Good day, and thank you for tuning in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. For all of our new listeners and viewers who are tuning in for the very first time, I'm Pastor Pope, and thank you for allowing us to come into your viewing environment. We are here with you every Monday through Friday from 12:30 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, broadcasting live from the FijiWater.com sponsored studio, where you can discuss careers, finances, entrepreneurship. You can discuss marriage, divorce, raising children, blending families. You can discuss dating and relationships. Whatever's in your heart, whatever's on your mind, God is concerned about that which concerns you. And so we are here with you in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast, which is brought to you daily by Fiji Water, Earth's finest water. You may already know that Fiji water comes from Fiji. However, did you know that it is created by nature? It is untouched by man. It starts as a tropical rainfall which slowly filters through layers of volcanic rock, where the water collects in a natural, sustainable artesian aquifer where it is bottled right at the source, free from human contact until you unscrew the blue cap. Fiji Water, Earth's finest water, will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery, and you will save money at FijiWater.com. This is not just ordinary water. This is Earth's finest water at FijiWater.com. And for those of you who continue giving on the Give segment of our app at New Life-Delaware, and those of you that have made a weekly or monthly commitment to support the broadcast by giving on the contribution pages of our websites at NewLifeMinistriesInternational.com and NewLifeInternationalCDC.com, and those of you who are using the QR code or the link provided on Facebook and YouTube, we thank you all for your continued commitment and for your support as we fulfill our commitment to God to be here for you in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. I want to remind all of our listeners and viewers, we are Facebook Live, we are YouTube Live at Daily Divine Direction, so you can continue to encourage your family, friends, coworkers, and colleagues to tune in every day on Facebook at Daily Divine Direction, where they will be able to discuss whatever issues of life are important to them. We're going to be making adding some additional offerings as we go into the new year, the first quarter of the year. So be prepared to stay with us. There's going to be some great things happening. And we want you to stay connected with us throughout the week through our internet radio station, WKAP Faith Empowerment Radio, which you can reach at WKAPfaith.com. where we play music 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, that will encourage you, empower you, and inspire you to be the best version of ourselves that we can possibly become. So I want to begin by addressing a communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated you are having problems accomplishing the goals that you set for your life, both personally and professionally. You want to know, what can you do to ensure that as the new year begins, that you have more success accomplishing your goals in the year to come. So I'm really going to walk you through this, because as I walk through this, is going to help a lot of our listeners and viewers. You know, it's important to set goals. So you've done that part of the work. Then you have to put your faith in action. And that means you cannot procrastinate. You cannot be complacent. You have to make certain that you're producing action throughout the year. So what I tell people often is, whether you're writing a 7-year plan for your life or whether you're setting goals, you want to take goals, specific goals, in order of quarter. So the first quarter of the year, you have to ask yourself, what do you want to accomplish both personally and professionally? And I encourage everyone to establish 3 bullet points for each. What do you want to accomplish in the first quarter of the year, the second quarter of the year, the third quarter of the year, the fourth quarter of the year? So you want to outline it from January to the end of March for the first quarter. What do you want to accomplish? What goals do you want to accomplish in that first quarter, both personally and professionally? You have to really set 3 bullet points. And then you do the same thing from June until, I said January to March, then from April to June, the end of June, and then from July to the end of September, and then October to the end of December. You've got 4 quarters of the year. It's amazing how God structures life. We've got in our area, we have 4 noticeable seasons. Everyone has 4 seasons. You know, we have winter, spring, summer, and fall. Everyone has 4 seasons. You may have different climates, but everyone has 4 seasons. There's also 4 quarters to the year. So if we're working every quarter to accomplish what we desire to accomplish by the end of the year, you're going to find that you have more success accomplishing what you desire to accomplish, both personally and professionally. And you have to really decide what that looks like for you. You know, in other words, measure your success. So, you know, we talk about goals, we talk about SMART goals, we talk about smarter goals, and I'll be going into that again at the beginning of the year for everyone who may have missed that during last year. But the reality is, goals are important, and the only way you're going to feel fulfilled at the end of every year is if you accomplish something that you set out to accomplish prior to the start of the year. So you have to ask yourself, and then at the end of the year, so you're going to do an evaluation at the end of the year and decide, was I successful meeting my goals? Was I successful exceeding my goals? And then you have to say, I'm not going to beat myself up about what I didn't accomplish. What I'm going to do is set my goals for the next year and start working again. See, the important thing is you're working to accomplish the goals. We may not achieve everything, but you will have achieved something because you've been intentional about working to accomplish the goals. So life is not over. That's what we've got to be mindful of. Life is not over. Celebrate the small accomplishments. And I'm not talking about going wild with the celebration. I'm talking about taking a pause and saying, thank you, God, for giving me the strength to get to the next level by accomplishing my goals. You know, if you want to go and have dinner, that's fine. But just don't get crazy about it just because you've accomplished something. Celebrate the small accomplishments and then celebrate the much larger accomplishments. You know, those are when the moments where you really want to maybe take some time out and just, you know, go to dinner with your spouse, go to dinner with your significant other, just to celebrate another year. That's all. None of us need to go wild. We just need to celebrate the small accomplishments and the big accomplishments. You know, sometimes celebrating the small accomplishments means just finding a little time for yourself. You know, I was yesterday on the broadcast, I was sharing with everyone that we really need to look at the holidays as time to rest in the Lord, not stress ourselves out about the holidays. And I was sharing with my wife, a couple gave me a book for the holidays, and I started reading the book. Now, that's a big deal because I spend the majority of my time I spend reading the Bible and reading financial information, real estate information that's important to me that I'll be able to use long term. But the couple gave me a book and I'm for the holidays, and I started reading the book. And I'm going to finish the book during the holidays. And that to me is a small accomplishment. It's something that I want to do, and I'm going to finish it before the holidays are over, in addition to all the other work that I have to do. But the point I'm trying to make is that you've got to take some time out sometimes just to relax for a moment. And that's a small accomplishment for many of us. The bigger accomplishments are things that when we're done, we can sit down and celebrate by taking a pause. And as I said, maybe going out to dinner or something to that effect, because, you know, for many of us, there's a lot of small accomplishments and there's a lot of big accomplishments. But the point is, You want to make sure that every quarter of the year you're accomplishing your goals. If you miss one, the first quarter, and you can carry it over to the second quarter, fine. If it's a missed opportunity, you're going to have to live with that at the end of the year, but you just have to keep working throughout the year. Life is not over. And we have to remember that. We have to remember that if we keep working to accomplish our goals, we're going to keep climbing to the next level. And, you know, as I always use the analogy, we're all climbing the stairway to heaven. Every day we're climbing the next step. But on that climb, we've got to make certain that we get to the next level that God has purposed for each of our lives. Life, I'm going to repeat this for all of our listeners and viewers, life is not over. And we want to make certain that we live this life out entirely until the Lord calls us home. We don't want anything else taking us out. We want the Lord to call us home on his specific day and time for each of our lives. But until then, we've got to continue working to accomplish our goals, become successful, maximize our success, and experience the fullness of God in all of our lives. And once we get to that place, we can then begin to maximize the fullness of God. And when we maximize the fullness of God, it's because we have created a legacy for God that will carry on from generation unto generation until the fourth and fifth generation. That's what we all have to keep building for, is to eventually maximize the fullness of God. But first you've got to experience that. And part of that is making certain that we continue to accomplish our goals. So as you go into the new year, this is for everyone, because we're running out of time in this year. Plan now what your goals are going to be for the new year. Plan now what you're going to do in each of the quarters of the new year. You know, we all should have, and I should take a moment to give examples of what that looks like. You know, we all should make sure, one simple goal that we should make sure we do in the first quarter is schedule, watch this is going to be a simple one, schedule our annual physical. Do that, schedule it. You don't necessarily have to take it in the first quarter, but call and schedule it. If they can schedule it in the first quarter, great. If they cannot schedule it in the fourth quarter and they can schedule it in the second quarter, make that your goal. We all need to schedule our annual physicals. We all need to schedule our dental appointments. We all need to make certain that whatever your insurance covers for cleanings, that we go and get our cleanings done. We all need to, these are small goals. I'm giving you examples of the small goals of life. We all need to schedule our eye appointments if it's time to get our eyes examined. We need to begin scheduling all of those in the first quarter. Those are small personal accomplishments that we can get done. And then what do you want to accomplish professionally? Are you trying to finish the year strong so that in the coming year you may get promoted, or are you just looking forward to getting things under control in your current capacity so that the next year can run more smoothly? Those are small goals that we can accomplish. But we have to put the work in. And we begin putting the work in by setting the goals. Then we put the work in to accomplish the goals. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. So if you are not currently a T-Mobile customer, you may call or text on the T-Mobile call or text line at 267-992-1424. We will move you into our queue so that you may become a T-Mobile customer and experience America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. Taxes and fees are included in your bill, and if you auto pay by attaching a credit card to your account, you will receive a discount on your monthly bill at T-Mobile, America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. So I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that you are not currently in a relationship, and you say you're not getting any younger, None of us are. We're just getting more mature. And you want to know why do men keep coming and going from your life. So here's something you asked me in the communication. You said, okay, what do men really want? And I'm going to share something with all of our listeners and viewers who are ladies today. And all you men that are out there watching today, you'll be able to confirm this. What women don't realize about men is that we are basically, and I touched on this a couple of weeks ago with one of our listeners and viewers, but men are really nesters. You know, and I know you might be saying, well, Pastor, why are men hanging out in the clubs? And because they're really out trying to find someone, the one person that they can nest with. The problem that we had as men is we didn't really understand that women who are hanging out in the clubs, just like we were hanging out in the clubs, they're not looking for men to nest with. They're looking for men to party with, to have a good time with, and to have what they believe to be a relationship, which is a good time. But here's the reality about men. Men are basically nesters. And what we really are looking for, what we really want, is to be able to nest. We want to be able to go to work. We want to be able to observe or participate in some type of sporting, athletic activity. There's exceptions to every rule, but this is the rule. And then we want to be able to come home and nest and enjoy one woman. And that's basically, men are real simple. Okay? We are not complex individuals. And we want to nest. We want to be inside our home. Doesn't mean that we don't want to take our wives out occasionally. We want to go out to dinner periodically. But we don't need to do a lot of that. Consequently, women think that we men want to be doing something. We don't really want to be doing anything. We want to get some exercise. We want to go to a sporting event. We certainly want to watch sporting events. You know, for men who like to cook, they may want to cook at home. You know, that's not my thing, but I know there are men who enjoy cooking. But the point is, we're basically nesters. If you go all the way back to the prehistoric age, the cavemen wanted to come home to the cave. They go out, they hunt. We go out and we work. We do whatever is necessary outside of our household. And we really want to nest with the right woman. The woman who's going to allow us to live in peace, who's going to allow us to let me rephrase that. Allow and encourage us to be the best version of ourselves that we can possibly become. And we want to nest. That's it. It's real simple, but we make it real complicated. And so, in response to what you said, why do they keep coming and going? The reason they keep coming and going is you have to examine yourself. You have to ask yourself why they keep coming and going. And you're not the first person that's asked this question. So you're not the only one that has experienced this. The problem is that women don't understand that we don't really want to be outside of our home. We prefer to nest. If men are not, if we can't enjoy our wife or our spouse, then we start going outside of the home, not necessarily looking for anyone, but we just don't want to be at home. Men are nesters by nature. We would prefer to nest with one person, and enjoy that one person. That would be our preference. It's all these other things that society has taught us that has disrupted the family, that has disrupted the quality of life, that has caused 50% of, and I realize some of it comes with maturity, but society's taught us a lot of bad habits. It's taught us to do things that we are not naturally created by God to do. We have been programmed into believing that certain things, certain times of the year, mean certain things. That we are supposed to be doing certain things. That's not reality. And yet we keep doing them, expecting different results. There are now more women than there are men. That's a reality. There are now more single men, more single women than there are single men. And the reality is because men really don't want to be single. We're single until we get married. It's not good for man to be alone. That's what the Bible says. So that should have told us that what men are really seeking for. And I realize there are varying factors. There's, a whole segment of the population that chooses to live an alternative lifestyle. There's a segment of the population of men who want to be single, but that's a whole different topic, and that's real confirmed bachelors. You know why? Because I want it my way, and I can't get along with anyone else. That's what you really get with the confirmed bachelor. But the reality is, the Bible says it's not good for man to be alone, which means that when God gave Adam Eve, he was showing us right then that men are natural nesters. We need to be with someone who's going to be our helpmate. We need someone that's going to help us to be the best that we can be. We need someone who's going to prop us up. We need someone who's going to love us, no matter how, I use simple, because we're not complex. No matter how simple we are, and we need to be able to enjoy that one person. And that's, if you want to know, because you ask, what do men really want? That's what men really want. Now, be mindful. I said this as a disclaimer. There are exceptions to every rule, but it's not the rule. The rule is that's who we are. The rule is it's not good for us to be alone. That's the rule. That's the golden rule. It's not good for man to be alone, which means we're looking for a place to nest. We're looking for someone to nest with. Hopefully at some point we'll be able to have children who we can then kick out of the nest at some point, but they become part of the legacy. They become part of the legacy of God, that God has promised to every man. That if you're fruitful and multiply, you will be blessed to have a quiver full. What that means is just a full house. We are not that complex. You've got to start doing something different. And this is where it comes in. Examine yourself and say, okay, what have I been doing that hasn't allowed one good man to nest in my life? Got to ask yourself that question. And you'll find the answer. Because you know yourself better than anyone else. That's why the Bible tells us, let a man, a woman, a child, examine themselves. Because we'll always find the answer if we examine ourselves. Now, I want you to go and get your annual physical, but I'm going to use this as an example for all of our listeners and viewers. I want everyone to get... But when you go for your annual physical, that's what the doctor does. He examines you. He's examining you to find out if there's some things in your health that you need to improve. Well, it's the same thing with our lives. We have to examine ourselves, and we have to say, is there some things that I need to improve? Do I need to improve my attitude? Do I need to improve my behavior? Do I need to improve my commitment? Do I need to improve my dedication to my family? Do I need to improve my commitment to excellence. Those are all things that we can improve, but we have to examine ourselves first to make certain that we are willing to make the change so that we can become the best version of ourselves that we can possibly become. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by Charles Tyrwhitt, located in London, the UK. They also have stores in New York, Chicago, Washington, D.C., and at the King of Prussia Mall in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. So if you're in any of those areas, stop in at their retail stores. They have everything a man could possibly need. And if you're not in any of those areas, you can order from Charles Tyrwhitt at ctshirts.com. They will ship and deliver right to your front door in an appropriate period of time. And the White Company, located in London, the UK. They also have a store on 5th Avenue in New York. So if you're in New York, stop in at the retail store. They have everything you could possibly need: home goods, clothing for men, women, and children. And if you're not in New York, you can order from the White Company at thewhitecompany.com. They too will ship and deliver right to your front door in an appropriate period of time. And this segment has been brought to you by PorscheAmerica.com. If you are in the market for a new automobile, one of the finest high-performance automobiles ever manufactured, you go to PorscheAmerica.com. You can virtually build out the type of Porsche that you might desire to own. And if you're in our area, you can go to PorscheDelaware.com. Ask to speak to Mike Didio, General Manager. He will make certain that someone assists you in helping to build out the Porsche that you desire to own. And if you are already an owner of a Porsche, one of the finest high-performance automobiles ever manufactured, go to PorscheAmerica.com, go to PorscheDelaware.com, ask to speak to Mike Adams, Service Manager of PorscheDelaware.com. He will make certain that an appointment is scheduled for you. They will pick up your vehicle at your home or office, drop off a loaner to you, and return your vehicle to you once service has been completed. So I want to say to all of our listeners and viewers, this is the holiday season. And so often, I want to take a moment out because of some of the communications that I've been receiving from many of our listeners and viewers, talking about people going through periods of depression, people going through anxiety, people stressing themselves out about the holidays. And I just want to take a moment out to address each of those components. First of all, the Bible tells us to be anxious for nothing, and in all things give thanks. So one of the things that happens when you are not thankful for where you are right now, you become anxious about where you want to go. And anxiety begins to set in, and that causes a lot of different issues. So you don't want to be anxious for anything. And what the Bible means by that is this: you've got to be thankful to God for where you are right now, every single day. You've got to thank God for where you are, and trust Him that you're right where you're supposed to be. That this is right where you are supposed to be. From a joking perspective, I'll say, my wife and I talk about this all the time, and we chuckle, but we're serious when we say this. And that is, we wouldn't want to live in any other time or be any other place than where we are right now. We wouldn't want to live in the 1800s. Wouldn't want to live in, the early 1900s. We're thankful to God that we live in this particular time, at this particular moment. We're thankful for where we are right now in life. That will eliminate any anxiety if you really focus on being thankful for where you are right at this particular moment. Depression is another issue. Some depression is clinical, and sometimes we bring on depression by looking at the life of others, and instead of celebrating their success or being happy for what they have accomplished, we begin to go through the putting pressure on ourselves about why not me. You can't worry. You don't want to focus on what others are doing. You want to celebrate what others are doing if they're doing the right thing. And then the one thing you don't want to do during this holiday season is stress yourself out about the holidays. This is a time to rest in the Lord and enjoy this season. Embrace your family and just enjoy being together. Today's Daily Divine Direction broadcast 3D has been brought to you by Fiji Water. A taste of paradise will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery, and you'll save money at FijiWater.com. May God bless you today. May God keep his face turned towards you. May God give you peace that surpasses all understanding. I look forward to being in your listening and viewing environment tomorrow.